I'm Bryan from Freedom Games. I'm the director of marketing. So I run all of the kind of marketing outputs for our large number of indie games. Yeah. Freedom Games is made up of a bunch of people, but the kind of handful of people that started the company, which actually didn't include me, I joined about 4 or 5 months after the company started, were people that had worked together for a while, and I had worked with them at previous companies as well. We had been together at a company called Curse. If you've played World of Warcraft, you might know like the Curse mod thing. You might know the Curse app, which was like a Discord competitor back in the day. And so that was a company that had done a lot of work in gaming media. They ended up being bought by Twitch at one point. So we were all working together underneath Twitch as Twitch employees for a while. And then we kind of went our separate ways with the tumultuous period of COVID, right? And then we kind of all found our way back to each other after a couple of years apart. And that was where everyone had done a little bit of soul searching and decided they wanted to be less on the media side and more on the actually making the video game side. And so we knew that there were some things we didn't know about game development specifically, but knew that we had been around the industry enough to know how to promote games, how to do business development, how to build a company. Curse had been a startup company, 15, 20 years ago in video games and had been successfully sold to Amazon, right? So the guys that started it knew how to build a company. And we wanted to do something that we were actually really excited to do, when we woke up on the day, And so company really formed as a way of wanting to get any developers, the best resources possible to make their game successful. So in regards to how we find developers, it's usually a two-way street. We do have our website, freedom.gg, if you're an aspiring developer, submit. That we get a fair amount of applications to. And then we're also out looking all the time. So if new indie games get launched, if indie games are looking successful, if we see news about one, if we play a demo and we see they don't have a publisher, we'll reach out and see if they're interested. In terms of what we're looking for, it's really just if we think the game's going to be successful, if we like it. We typically work with smaller groups. The value we provide is by doing everything that isn't actually making the video game, right, as a publisher. I think some publishers get a little more involved in development in terms of like, hey, we're going to come in and help direct the actual development of the game. We help with that in some ways, but we're, I think, a little bit lighter touch on that. We don't come in and completely change the way of the game or like take over from the people that are running it most of the time. Like it's very rarely that can't happen if they need it. But we focus on the social media marketing, the business development, the porting, the QA, the things that small teams of like 2 or 5 people don't know how to do. One Lonely Outpost was actually signed before I joined Freedom. So I joined Freedom with it already being on our roster. My understanding is that, it was one of the games that our founder had seen with like demos and content about it online and had followed up with the developer of the game and said, hey, we have a good vision for what this could be. The game had gotten a lot of traction through its Kickstarter, but hadn't been on Steam yet. And so at that point, we had already released a couple of games on Steam or had worked with some groups. It's like, hey, we can help you make sure that this big debut for you on Steam is successful. And it was. When they launched on Steam, we were able to really quickly get them to be one of the most wishlisted games on Steam. And so I think the value there was like, hey, you clearly have lightning in the bottle here. We'll help you out and make sure that we can bring this to fruition and make it as successful as it clearly can be.
Welcome to One Lonely Outpost, a sci-fi farming sim where you will customize your character, then arrive on a desolate, barren planet as the first and only colonist. As you build up your farm, you make it possible for other people to arrive.